Hi, and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, August 23rd, 2021, and today's topic is called Rising Salmon. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening through August 16th, 2021. And before we get into those sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonia, annyeonghaseyo, botarji, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, hudenda, and good day. And today's starter image is combining with the Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day page. I'm going to go through it quickly. I'm pretty much just going to do a straight read of what's on the slide. Feel free to skip ahead when the time comes if you just want to look at the sky observations. They're coming up right after this. So anyway, I decided to pull a couple of cards once again from the Daily Crystal Inspiration deck and the Mystical Shaman or Shaman Oracle decks. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll see the Many Paths card, which it has the number 34. And the only spiritual meanings interpretation for this number that clicks with me this time around on a basic internet search is to follow your divine guidance more closely and put more focus on your creative endeavors as intelligently guided. And I put in there on purpose the I in intelligent with a capital I, meaning the intelligence that when you're connecting in with your higher self as opposed to just book smarts intelligence. Now, the selenite, the origin of it is a gypsum, a mineral derived from the Greek word Selene or moon goddess. And today's message there is clear the clutter. Metaphysical properties of selenite include that it can be used to cleanse the body, mind, and spirit of negativity and self-limitation, as well as cleansing other gemstones being used in healing practices in conjunction with it. So that's an excerpt from a website. I've listed it here. I have no idea who they are and what they do. I just liked that description. Now, Many Paths of the card drawn from the Shaman or Shaman Oracle deck. I really like that in conjunction with this overall show. Right off the bat, it's interesting that the selenite crystal here looks like one of these rods, faceted rods, and they're all heading toward one point. And to me, that one point is the internal light, is the spark of life, the divine spark of life, and that's the internal, instead of a GPS, it's, I like to look at it as like a God positioning system, that we're in alignment with that and the divine, and then we can't go wrong. So even though there may be many paths and many choices, it's all focusing on here, and that's where the magic really starts to happen and makes the life, instead of just ordinary, turns it into extraordinary. So I'm just going to read here for the many paths. It's just what came to mind when I was looking at the cards and the overall collection here of words and things that were popping up. So for many paths, there are many paths in life, or many choices, infinite choices actually, expansive ways, unless you choose to believe otherwise. And I'm going to throw in there, but why would you? Why would you limit yourself when you could have the world in front of you? You got to get rid of those blinders that you self-imposed in blinders or imposed by anybody else. If there's someone else in your head saying you can't do something, get them out of your head, invite them to leave the room in your head. It's very simple. You got to just practice doing it if you're not there yet. But though our inner God, source, universe, or higher self, etc., guidance or intuition calls us to move in a direction that is for us or favors our highest good, that is, if we choose to listen to that guidance, again, it's a choice to do so or not. And it also may take some practice, as I said, to really listen or see it, what you're listening to for that inner guidance. But that does not mean that that path is going to be the quickest, easiest, nor the shortest. That path, however, will lead sure and true for you and your individual path, regardless if it's seemingly meandering or straight or riddled with obstacles or wide open. So, and I'd also like to add, no fear. Whatever path you choose, you get to choose again. Nothing is in stone. Nothing is cementing you or concreting you into the ground on anything. You live and learn. You try one thing out. If that's not working, you can always try again. All right, that's it for now. Let's keep moving and get into the sky observations. And here we go with the first slide. So whether you're new or returning, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks for being here and a welcome. And I'm going to kind of fly through this show today because I don't have much time to record, and I'm excited to get to the next show on the heels of this, which we're going to depart finally from Miami skies and look at skies in northern Florida and jump back over and pop into Australia again. But in the meantime, if you are new, I'm going to keep this intro really short. I invite you to look at any of my previous shows to get the more in-depth description of what I'm doing here. And if you're returning, as always, you may want to skip this bit. So if you are new, I just take images, photographs from a camera phone, mostly over the skies of Miami or just wherever I happen to be. And I just note all of the really strangeness going on these days, especially in the past 3 years intensely. And obviously there have been changes happening prior to that. And so I'm just noticing a lot of strangeness, anomalies, things that weren't, typical in the skies of many decades in the past. I've lived all over the world in various places, and I've noticed the skies wherever I am, and I'm keenly aware of a lot of, a lot of changes that have been taking place. So I just document some of them and share them with you. Now, as always, I give you my interpretation based on some technical background, some artistic background, cultural background, but I invite you to see what I'll present what I'm seeing, and whatever you see, if you see something else, that's great. And feel free to leave that in the comment section below if you're seeing something else, whether it's based on logic or just some fun, fantastical things that you're seeing in any of these images or not. All right, so let's just get going now. I did kind of throw this show together quickly, so pardon any typos. Right now I see one here on the right-hand side. Just ignore that letter A. I still want to keep going with the show. Like I said, I've got another one to get out. So in this case, we look on the left-hand side, and it's the original, and I'm looking to the west, and, around 8 p.m., and I notice, what the heck is going on here? This beautiful salmon pink kind of cloud just looks like it's lifting off, and when I say cloud, I'm saying cloud in quotes, so yes, I'm saying this is a cloaking craft. It's got perfect symmetry, it's a pointed ellipse, and, it looks like it's lifting off here, and as is this piece here. And then we have letter C, which just looks strange. So we're going to look to the right-hand side at the enhancement, and, we just see a little bit more. Sometimes there are more questions than answers that come up with this stuff. But we see like a blurred out thing here, too. Looks like some kind of object might be coming or going. Weird stuff, traipsing in front of this thing. The overall scene, I think you can read, is just really odd. And it's very local and very low in the atmosphere, so that's not a typical cloud formation any way you slice it. So we're going to zoom in a little bit. Again, the original photo's on the left and the enhanced is on the right. We'll spend time on the enhanced version. So again, it looks like something is flying over here. And when I talk about cloaking craft, it can be something that's very 3D, three-dimensional, that you could theoretically walk up, to it and knock on it and touch it. Or it could be something very ephemeral or ghost-like, something more interdimensional. I think that's what we're dealing with over here. I think something more traditional might be cloaking back here. And, and in here as well. But we just have all kinds of strange. And look at this blurred motion. Got to look at the movement, the color signature. How would you have anything anyway going up vertical or on an arc and then come straight dead level? So there is something very uncloud, let's just say, going on here. And then we're going to zoom in. Let me go back up here. Look at the B.1 down here. We're going to zoom in on that element and look at it at B.2. We start to see something really odd happening. Now we have also extra density in here, which tells me there's some kind of object. And let's keep moving. We're going to look in at this again, and then we see C.2. What is this? It looks like a fish going up vertical. That's why I have a little tongue-in-cheek play on the title. Rising salmon, it's going straight up. Later on, I'm going to flip it so you see what it looks like if it were like a fish, heading level. But again, we get these kind of weird anomalies, these little enigmas and mysteries happening. Even here, it looks like an imprint of some kind superimposed on this thing. Let's keep going, though. Here's with some enhancement. I can't get at too much more. I just want to show you different views in case on your own time, on your own leisure, you want to take a look at any of these images in a little more detail, see what you can find. Now I'm zooming in once again on this element. It just stands out like a sore thumb, right? It's totally different than everything else happening beyond it, and yet it's right there. So what is this thing? It even has like two little prongs or arms coming out fairly parallel, implying it's some kind of an object. And here, still looks like a fish to me, if this is the nose and this little tail swinging back. What is that? I'm really at a loss for words with this one. Now, I have noticed on previous shows, such as Off-Field Sunset, where I have a very concrete, I can even sketch outlines on actual craft with machine parts and angles, right angles, things like that that don't occur in natural cloud systems. And over there in that show, I did start to catch on one of the sunsets very like a bioorganism looking like things, whether it's a craft emulating a bioorganism or if it's actually some type of bioorganism, that's in a different dimension and we're just now getting a glimpse of it. There's something of that nature. Otherwise, I cannot explain this if we're looking at it through the glasses of all kinds of clouds that we could categorize over decades past. This just does not fit. And then on top of it, we have this thing projecting in, also very atypical, based on its density and its overall form, and it's how low it is in the atmosphere. That is not a typical cumulus cloud. Anyway, let's keep going. So here's where we get to fun. So C.5, I'm just calling that salmon or fish. And here down in the lower right, I just flipped it over. That's what it would look like if it were like in a natural environment here in the ocean or something. So very interesting here. But as I know it's a little fuzzy and bitmappy, but as I zoom in and play around with the enhancement just a little bit, and when I say enhanced, I just mean that I've taken the photo and edited attributes of it, such as color saturation, brightness, and contrast. That's actually it. I just play with those three, move the levels up or down just a tiny bit, and all kinds of extraordinary things pop up, and we can see clearer because the camera has such a better, vaster range of photo and light sensitivity than our human eye right now. Anyway, look at this. We've got distinct hard points happening all over the place. We even have a pure triangle happening in here. So to me, this is something of intelligence or intelligent design. See what you think. And I'm just playing around. So Rising Salmon is the title of the show. So the color salmon is the pink with a touch of orange to it, and it can represent happiness, health, and hope. So now, of all times, is the perfect moment, and globally, I think we can all agree, for more happiness, health, and hope on the rise. And I always like to say about hope, you don't really need hope if you know within everything is okay, your higher knowing, your inner knowing. And right now, I know that all of this chaos, seeming chaos, is kind of flaring up, especially in my area right now. I don't know about where you are. And it needs to for a reason, because a lot of these old systems in place that are very punitive, very human harming, they just need to go. They need to fall and crumble, and we need to build a better future, one that's more harmonious and happy for everybody. That's what we came for. So the seeming chaos, my go-to right now is just laughter, because the more crazy it gets, I just have to laugh. And I think that's where we're supposed to be. And you can laugh truly if you have no fear. So release all fear. Imagine but think of what's the worst thing in your life right now that you're fearing. Look at it, really look at it, and say, okay, so what? Okay, is your fear death? Well, if you believe in eternal life, that the spirit goes on forever in many forms, are you really afraid of that? And even if you believe that when you die, that's it, okay, so what? Then that's it. Really, what is there to fear, honestly? Then, health, okay. Whatever's going on now in the world, most people, 99 point, survive even if they get sick. Okay, so what? People get flus all the time. You recover. And, hope, again, you don't really need that if you know internally everything's okay. So, hope's nice, but it's not necessary. So anyway, I just felt like I should throw that in here now. I have to say there's a lot of chaos going on with the start of supposed school, and that's one of those other systems that need to fall. And I'm just watching with amusement. And again, the go-to is laughter. And there are going to be people that are very afraid. If you're one of those that are very fearful, let the fear go. It doesn't serve you. It truly doesn't. So don't fear. And even if you just were looking for something outside of yourself today to say that, I'm here to tell you, do not fear. You're good. You're protected at the highest level. And just watch with wonder, amusement, and actually laughter at what's going on in the world. Okay, enough of that little speech. Let's continue. So now we're going to keep zooming in that top portion of that salmon pink cloud. And I noticed here I put AA because then I broke it down sub-A's, because here I see now a pure white element. And if you watch some of my other shows, I talk about how when I see, a sea of color, whether it's a gray scale, all gray or bright colors, whatever, and then you see bright white popping out in there in front of it right there, especially in little odd configurations or little like a crystalline triangle or little points of light, that tells me there's something cloaking even within the cloak, or it's an element of whatever is cloaking. So let's continue and see. So I put some radical enhancement on this one just to get at that even through this radical adjustment of the color saturation and stuff, this remains true and pure white, and again, these are like little prong-like things, these sticks, and they're parallel. So that tells me that we're either looking at something is poking out from this overall cloaking craft, or it's an own little cloaking animal of itself. Anyway, see what you think. And now we're going to go to that B element, that lower thing above that big floating thing. And we just start to see interesting things. I start to see a triangle back here. And again, as I've talked about on other shows, when you see a pure symmetrical triangle in the clouds, that's not natural. I've lived here on the planet for many decades, keenly looking at my environment. That's not a natural thing that happens. So now here we go. It's there a little bit more. Some little triangles popping up all over the place. And again, what is this thing? We come back to that B element. I see two sticks, and they're parallel. It actually kind of looks in character and feel and scale of that thing we were just looking up in the other cloud that was pure white. We have little, white points, white-ish points popping out. That shows that it could be reflecting or protruding, projecting toward us, and that's what's just catching the lightest color. We have weird color signature where we've got purple, black, brown, and then it's fading back into reds, in front of this other paler pink, white overall assembly. So what the heck is going on here? See what you think. All right, we're zooming in on it again to see these points. Oops, sorry, I'm having trouble getting my cursor today. So here's a straight line, here's a straight line, bright points. There's even like a stick-like or antenna-like element coming out of here. It's just fascinating. See what you think is going on. And then we're going to still look at this overall assembly as it starts to dwindle now. So that mighty big, puff, quote-unquote, cloud is now fading away. Must be kind of dimensionally because it's not blowing anywhere, and we still have the movement coming down. And so, some elements are still, staying true. This is morphing a little bit into something else. We'll keep going with some enhancement here. So fascinating, this overall thing, and these distinct elements. See what you think is going on. And then down here too, we got like a straight element, and this thing is still fuzzy, like something's coming or going, or it's just a vapor trail to this object. Really, really fascinating here. So this one, we're going to break it down a little bit, and I'm not always going to cover each highlight letter here. I'm just going to go where I feel and have a look at any of these letters on your own if I don't cover them. But let's look at lowercase a. This is looking very interesting. It's almost looking like a human heart with, pipes and things coming out of the overall heart, like the aorta or whatever. But let's keep looking. And so here we go. We've got like a stick-like element projecting off that way while this is going in a different direction. So this is in no way, shape, or form a typical cloud. And then it looks like it's part of an overall installation. So maybe this overall thing's a craft and this is just one element of it, or it's something interdimensional superimposed in front of a cloaking craft. But this, I see a pure line heading this way and coming back this way. So to me, this overall thing is some type of craft. Again, I don't know what this AA thing is in front of it, though. And then B10, to me, that is also a craft with an unusual way of cloaking. But look again how these are right next to each other in proximity, and one is totally charcoal dark gray, and the other has, light to it. And this is not because of a play on light, it catching, quote-unquote, the sunset. No. These should all be of the same color family, and they're not. And we're going to zoom in on that A element, this time taking out all color just to see if we can look at it in a different way with a brain-eye connection. Sometimes removing color or adding it in where there is none kind of helps see things in a new way. And all I keep seeing is this unusual form, whether it's a heart or a shield shape or something, with, a stick-like element, a chunkier one, or pipe going this way and one going this way, a completely different way. See what you think is happening. All right, now, this overall scene on the left just seemed very odd with this diving element going down, very weird structure to it. Looks like cloak is trying to happen. And so we look to the right-hand side, and again, we get this like dark point, whether that's some type of cloaking object or a hole or a portal, who knows. Just the overall thing is really strange. And then we get a totally different, radically different signature of color here. When you look to the left, everything is grayscale. So this is its own animal doing its own thing. So I'm going to say that's a cloaking craft of a very different nature than anything else going on around it. Now also, when we look at 8.1, this whole general area, you see how choppy and fuzzy it is, even to the human eye. And that's a little thing like what I like to call a staccato cloud effect, where I believe there's either craft or multiple craft in the area, generating either electromagnetic wave activity or other type of frequencies, creating that disturbance, because, everything else is in focus, and that's no known cloud type. So that's what I believe is happening up there. I do not believe in many cases now that that's HARP. I think in some earlier shows I did catch evidence of that, but now when I'm seeing things that look like cloaking craft, very local, I tend to think they're generating locally, this kind of disturbance. All right, now this is just another weird thing looking to the south. And here we go with enhancement. We see it much more clearly. And again, we get a bright white happening amidst all this darker color. So that tells me there's intelligent design happening in here. Also, we've got these parallel straight lines. This looks very structured. It looks like a structure with intelligent design. And it's on angle while other things are coming straight across. Again, that would never happen in the same proximity if you just have puffy white clouds, cumulus clouds of yore developing and going across the sky. Absolutely not. All right, now this is interesting. We're looking west, and we get all kinds of weird textures floating in. And as you know, if you've watched my channel at all, I love this backlighting situation. When we get the sun, which is sun in quotes, this white thing parading around, pretending to be the sun. Look at other shows too on my thoughts on that, about solar simulator, the concept of solar simulator, artificial sun. It's on plenty other YouTube channels as well, being covered, by people all over the world, looking at things with direct observation and other, scientific instruments to prove that our original sun is being veiled by solar tech of multiple kinds. Anyhow, take a look on your own time for that. In the meantime, let's look at this with some enhancement, and we see totally different color signatures starting to pick up in the worm family over here. And what are these things? That's not typical cloud. Again, I got to defer to a cloaking, mechanism of some type on craft. Then we're going to look at it a little more closely, again, different kind of views of it. We've got this density here, and, it's just not a typical cloud. And we got some weird stuff happening here beyond, too. This mask out effect of whatever this stuff is in the sky. We have the staccato cloud effect happening up here a little bit. Everything seems not only muted, but also kind of fuzzy and not very clear. What's this thing? It looks like an egg-shaped thing of a lighter color standing out. There's just so much going on here that's really puzzles the brain a bit. And then we get, this thing happening way down here that's supposed to be the sun, with a heavy blanket of artificial cloud, covering, trying to mask it. Anyway, let's continue. We're going to zoom in on that one element. I'll go back a minute. We're going to go zoom in on this A and B side of things. Here we go. And we got a bright white element in here, what have I been saying the whole show, on the background of something darker. So this is some type of cloaking object for sure. Other stuff popping up in here, things, hidden in the back behind heavy veiled, like chemical or other artificial means, in the sky. And the interesting color signatures in here are really pretty on this one. I don't know exactly what's going on. See what you think. And then here we're going to zoom in. This is, again, looking at what's supposed to be the sun, but we got these straight lines happening, and just really weird. It looks like the heart of the sun should be here, but yet there's a brighter illumination here. The overall thing is pure white. Again, that's not what our original sun is. It's usually a pale yellow. And then here we go with some enhancement. I was just trying to get at what's going on in here because it looks artificial. Didn't get at too much more, but maybe you'll find something in there. And then we're going to go to a different day with a similar kind of sun. But look at this. Triangular form, pure and true. And this too, B, what the heck is this? There was nothing on my lens. I looked a split second before and after, it wasn't there. So things are, very curious around the sun at the very least. This is the original in the upper right-hand corner. Really start noticing and paying attention if you're not already. If you're not already, I invite you just to take 2 to 5 minutes every single day, whether you're coming or going, taking a walk, going to a car, whatever, just let that be your reminder to start to look up and look around you 360 degrees. Notice the sun. Notice the quality and the character and the lighting of the sun, the heat coming off of it, if it feels natural or if it feels like a microwave, radiation hitting your skin. Also notice the glare, and if it's really big one moment and gets really small the next. There's so many things that are very curious and very odd with our sun that also support that there's solar tech up there. Anyway, let's continue. And here's a strange view. Again, we get this sun, quote-unquote sun at the bottom. Something really strange is happening at A. We jump over to the right-hand side, and here we get different color signatures. There's no way that this can be warm. Much warmer, brighter source on its own, and then this is a totally different color source below. So again, that supports the idea of an artificial sun or 2 different suns or more. And again, look at other sky watching and earth watching channels on YouTube and my own channel and previous shows to see the theories of what could be going on. And also, if you look in the description box below, I talk about what could be generating this red-pink activity. Okay, now here's an interesting one looking southeast. I just was looking at the cloud, looking at this beautiful rainbow eucalyptus tree, and then I noticed this pure form, and that is not the moon, and it was coming out and has like its own light source trail too, and it's in a really weird position of the sky. This is southeast towards sunset, so nothing should be bright and white of its own illumination local here in that scene. So it's very intriguing. What is that object? I don't know. I'm going to say cloak and craft. Here we look left and we'll spend time on the right hand side. Again, we get this weird texture popping up that is not typical cloud. And we get dark, pure darkness, and then we get bright whiter ones. We get this shadow with this stick of, this looks like an overall cloak and craft with a triangular shape, a stick, and another one here. Lots of strangeness going on. Even this big looming shape to me could be an overall craft on a bigger scale. Got all that staccato cloud activity I'm talking about where it's fuzzy, choppy, can't really see much. Like frosted glass of the 40s is what that looks like looking through it. Anyway, let's keep going. Now we're going to zoom in looking northwest, and that's an airplane. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. So lowercase letter A is just an airplane, but I let it fly in there and stay in there for scale when I was taking the picture. So we're going to look at these weird little bits. Look at it, it's arcing and curving downward. This is horizontal or going slightly upward. There's something that looks like it's emerging up here with a triangular shape on the top. So let's definitely check this out with some enhancement. These little things are gnats, so that for sure, little flying insects there. But look at this. So this is coming along level and has a different purplish color signature, while everything else near it is just more like a burnt umber brown or something like that. We get a straight tracing of a line coming here. We get a, profile of a round shape. There's just a lot of enigmas, a lot of strangeness happening in this particular photo. So I'm going to say once again, no surprise, that I believe all of this is cloak and craft involved. And look at this thing coming up on an angle with a straight line. It looks like this thing is springing up out of it. So I'm going to say this looks like the top deck of some type of cloak and craft. And these things are either coming or going, to and from it. And that's it. That's what I'm going to say. All right, here's another unusual view. I notice these grooves, these parallel arcs, and just weirdness because they're coming on angle this way and then they're going up on a totally different angle toward letter A. So on the enhanced version to the right, I couldn't get at too much more. There we got a straight line, dark line coming in here. But what is this thing? To me, this is some type of cloak and craft. Maybe it's more of the interdimensional quality of one. I don't know, but once again, that's not normal cloud activity. Then we're going to look at this scene, very interesting, to the northwest. Look at the way this thing is radiating out, so strange. We're going to look at A and B, so we're going to go up to the enhanced version. Look at this, it looks like a darker object here hiding behind whatever all of this is. And all of this is clearly artificial cloud. Natural cloud does not do this, no way. This is the moon back here on the lower right. So we look here, B.1, these are weird shapes with straight lines here. I'm going to say that's cloak and craft. Don't know what this thing is, but it's definitely not natural to any natural cloud system. Then we're going to look at this beautiful color emerging in the south at a sunset, which is what was a really odd position for all of this to be catching pure south. But anyway, I'm just showing A and B. I'm not really going to go in detail on this. This is the moon over here. Just to show kind of areas of interest where we have different concentrations and shape. Like that could be a craft, I think that is. This overall thing could be a craft. Looks like it has a trail coming in behind it. It's very boxy looking with a split in it. Again, that's no natural cloud system. And then we're going to look at that same thing we were looking at, that boxy thing with the trail. Looks like another craft over here. This is the panorama, so it's a little bit of a flattened view. The north is to the right on this photo. The south is, over here. And so the west is over here. And we got bright white while we've got, deep red, orange, and stuff being like suppressed and hidden by heavy artificial cloud here. And then this is turning bright bright salmon, pink, reddish. It's just very bizarre. And then we look over here and we start to see some distinct figures that look like cloak and craft. So we're going to take a look at that. First, we'll just look at this beautiful color once again. Look at that. Just beautiful, whatever it is, for whatever reason. What's interesting here is we start to get pure white, like an ephemeral light, ethereal light, sorry. Looking very interesting right in there. And then we're going to look in to the northwest at one of these more specific shapes emerging. And again, I love when they're backlit, even though I've got this like hazy, foggy veil, and veiling stuff beyond it. But some elements do pop out nicely. And look at this. We've got a bigger shadowy element. Looks like a triangle diving down, symmetrical with this little stump thing there. And then we start to get more detail here. Shadow, white points, so this is definitely cloak and craft upon cloak and craft in my view, and happening down here as well. And then here we look at it 10 minutes later and it starts to turn into this. So definitely this is morphing craft, this is not cloud. Okay, and then we got these elements, very specific as objects. What are they exactly? Like I always like to say, I wish all of this would blow away and we could actually see what's going on instead of the cloaking and the smoke and mirrors effect. Okay, now we're looking back. This says northwest, this northwest and west. So I want to, zoom in on these two A and B elements a bit. We got weird stuff happening here. This is all artificial. I've covered this many, many times in other shows as to why. The consistency, the location in the sky to cover up the sunset, precisely right where the sun is setting or rising. And it's just got a very density to it and just a feel to it that's artificial. especially when it's fraying at the edges and whatnot, and we see specific shapes sitting in on the rim, and I cover that in other shows such as Rim Watching 2, earlier shows that I've had. So here we go. I'm just going to fly through this and let you look at this, not let you, but kindly look at this on your own time, your own leisure. We got weird little objects at D. You know, this is just doing something weird, and there's something back here too. Looks like it's like hidden, you know, behind some of this, you know, veil out of whatever this material is. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. And then we have pronounced objects here at A and B and C. So we'll take a look in at the A one, you know, just trying to get at what's going on. It looks like it's comprised of a couple of parts. Maybe there are a couple of different cloaking objects, or it's part of overall one thing. I'm not sure. We get weird stuff happening here in the profile of this, what is supposedly cloud, but is clearly artificial cloud. And then we come here, A and A.1. Look at this clear shape. It's got a straight line, and then bam, it banks up. No natural cloud does that, period. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. It says, I am thankful for you on the photo, and I am. I thank you for being here. I'm so thankful that you've joined me on the show. And as always, I wish you tremendous peace and love. Have a gorgeous day, gorgeous now. And yeah, that's about it for now. So till next time, Lavender Sky Panther, bye.